It's about helping men take back their rightful role as head of the household. My friend told me, describing a men's Bible study he wanted me to join. This conversation came at the end of the last Catholic Sunday Mass I ever attended. It was spring 2017, and I was heading out the doors at St. Patrick's Church in Highland Mills, New York. I was barely clinging to my last strands of faith after nearly a decade as a very active congregant. I'd served as the co-director of adult faith formation. I'd helped run our rite of Christian initiation for adults. For years, I was a popular teacher of seventh and eighth grade religious ed. And after earning a certificate in the New and Old Testaments from the New York Archdiocese, through a fairly intense 4-year program, I also co-directed a popular Bible study of my own at St. Pat's. This friend who had approached me was a lector and a member of the parish council, and he had observed my faith for a long time. But I don't think he was aware of what had happened to me in the interceding years. Listening to his offer, I respectfully declined and said, I believe men and women should share leadership of their household, but thanks for asking. I don't remember him responding, and I don't recollect the look on his face as I shook his hand and left the building. Few cultural phenomena in the United States have proven as enduring and sometimes as periodically explosive as the anxiety that surrounds what it means to be a man. In November 1958, Esquire magazine published Arthur Schlesinger Jr.'s The Crisis of American Masculinity. This brief examination of what it meant to be a man proved not to be a watershed moment for men and masculinity. We did not grow more introspective as second wave feminism took to the streets in the 60s and 70s through marches and legislative battles that progressed women's rights. In fact, to some degree, we just kept belaboring the same old thing. In 1960, Look magazine published 2 articles, Women Without Men in July, and a follow-up, Men Without Women in November. Harris described 4 categories of men who were postponing marriage. One of the groups, she said, was at home with their mothers until the death of the parent releases them, and then they find it difficult to carve out a different kind of life. The second man who was postponing marriage was anti-responsibility. Panicked at the thought of heading a household, he spends a lifetime evading marriage while believing he is seeking it. She said, this man carries heavy psychological burdens, raised with admonitions to be a man, to be independent. These men were confused over the conflict between their determination to be truly self-reliant and the need to lean on a woman for love and comfort. This theme over the last 7 decades of men struggling to understand what it means to be a man and masculine has pervaded this sine curve of women's progress and a crisis of masculinity. It's why in 1982, we didn't pass the Equal Rights Amendment, falling 3 states short, predominantly because of the message from the opposition that the ERA would destroy traditional female and male roles. Bulking up in the movie theaters, the image projected to men of masculinity was Sylvester Stallone as Rambo and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan the Barbarian. In 2006, sexual assault survivor and activist Tarana Burke first used the phrase, "Me Too." But the phrase did not become a national cause until 2017, following the publication of the New York Times documenting the sexual assault and harassment committed by Harvey Weinstein. Pretty much an open secret in Hollywood. Instead of sparking a true introspection, Me Too provoked a backlash. There were online men's forums arguing that Me Too had gone too far. We had podcasts like Fresh and Fit. The manosphere took off. I feel like the only way men are ever going to be comfortable in their skin is when we define masculinity on our own without all of these people trying to define it for us. I think back to that moment at St. Patrick's when my fellow parishioner said to me, I'm trying to help men take back their rightful role as head of the household. It felt like it was coming more from a place of fear than a place of love. And isn't it ironic that that was the message in a place of worship? I remember a lot of verses from the New Testament from my 4-year Bible study. And one of my favorites is from a letter from John where he wrote, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear." Men are given such a limited range of emotions that both loving themselves for who and what they are, regardless of how masculine society asks them to be, is the key to all of this. And not having to form a relationship with ourselves based on all of these rigid constructions that we keep having thrown in front of our faces by a variety of institutions and people who just want to sell us something. We will never get to the truth of masculinity until we get to the truth of ourselves, love who we are for exactly who we are, and just be. Otherwise, we are going to keep fighting this battle of the sexes, a war that no one, including men, will ever win.